absolutely right. And speaking about Damon, that kind of brings us to the topic that I wanted to start with, and that is the scenes that we have in the Black trailer, I think, of him walking around the castle at Harrenhal. And I think that that's not actually real. I think those are dream sequences because we have a great interview that Entertainment Weekly did with Ryan Condal, where Condal said that Harrenhal is going to be a character. And we've been talking about Harrenhal being cursed for years, and someone like Ryan Condal, who obviously is a huge A Song of Ice and Fire fan, might just implement that into the story. And I think that could be really interesting because if you look at Fire and Blood, there wasn't really any resistance to Daemon taking Harrenhal. He just lands atop of it, and what are they gonna do? They remember the last time a dragon went against Harrenhal. So why would he sneak around the castle? And it doesn't really make sense to me. So I think that might just be what they're going for, a dream sequence, implementing something from A Song of Ice and Fire, dreams, and dreams actually matter a lot in the books, in the source material.
Yeah, and I was actually going to mention that when I was going to bring up Alice, obviously. That could be a really, really cool way to introduce her character in something like that, in like a sort of dream, because we see the scene where Damon lands at Harrenhal with Caraxes on top of the King's Spire, I believe, and it's storming, and the scene where he's sneaking around is also during the same weather. So that could essentially be the same night, but it might be like this sort of splinter of this thing where like it sort of becomes a dream and stuff. And obviously, like you said, I was going to bring this up, but like dreams are a very, very big thing in A Song of Ice and Fire. And in Game of Thrones, we didn't really have as much of that because D&D like wanted to like keep it more like grounded and everything. But like obviously Ryan Condal, like he cares more about like sticking to the books than like appealing to whatever. So I definitely think, or I really do hope that that's going to be like some freaky shit's going to happen.
It would just separate House of the Dragon so much from Game of Thrones, which is exactly what I want. I want this to feel different. And we got scenes at Harrenhal in season 2 of Game of Thrones, and those were great. I loved the dynamic between Tywin and Arya, but you didn't really get a feel for the castle and how just insanely big it really is. Even the ruins, it's just ridiculous. And I hope that they just bring something new to the table. And speaking about Alys Rivers, she is the character that I'm looking forward to the most when it comes to the adaptation from book to screen, because there's so much options to pull from, from the main book series. Just because Game of Thrones didn't want to implement so much magical stuff, there's still room for Ryan Condal to come in and say, "Well, I'll take this one. I'll take these things. Let's say from Melisandre or Quaithe or whatever." They can really go all out and just improve what we essentially got in the books. And I hope they go the magical route with Alice, because that's kind of lacking for the Dance of the Dragons. And obviously, without spoiling anything, she is gonna stick around.
Yeah.
Yeah, I also do hope it's magical, especially because the Dance of the Dragon, like the Dying of the Dragons, is meant to be where magic sort of started fading from this world to resurge in the main series. So we should be showing in this series like what magic was like, not in its prime, but when it was still prevalent. So having characters like Alice around to show that would be a really good idea. And I think if you're going to give dreams to somebody, it should be Damon, because later on, like when he's at the God's Eye, we're probably going to have like an episode or two where he's just like there on his own waiting. To keep it interesting, him having dreams and stuff seems like a necessity. And on the topic of it being like how we introduce Alys, maybe that's why they haven't put her in any of the marketing, because like she won't be immediately established as a magical character. We'll just see Damon getting these dreams over the course of the season. It'll be revealed that she is the cause of them.
That'd be so sick.
I would love that. I would love that because, as much as they hyped up Melisandre in Game of Thrones, what did she ever do apart from yapping? I mean,
basically,
that was nothing really was ever explained. Like did we get a full
It's
sense of
a
how
7-year-old
anything
life.
works, how every how John came back, why he came back, why or what the Lord of Light had in store for him, and stuff like that. And that's what I keep repeating myself here, but they can still pull from A Song of Ice and Fire and just implement that here. And that could be from Quaife, that could be from Okoro, anyone really. I'd love to see glass candles. That's what I talked about for season 1 all the time. I wanted to see Old Town and them using glass candles, and that didn't happen yet, but it might still be a thing.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure it'll turn up in this season's Daemon plot.
Well, I'm not sure.
That's a low blow, brother. That's a low blow.
Not
Just
yet.
to briefly offer a counter argument to this being a dream, just before we get on to more stuff about it being a dream. I think there is the case to be made that it is part of the storming of Harrenhal, because while you might initially think, and I know I did, oh, it can't be because he wouldn't be on his own. That'd be insane to storm an enemy castle solo. When you consider the step zones in episode 3 where he did that mad solo run, this could be establishing a pattern of almost suicidal behavior for Daemon in war that culminates with the God's Eye.
It's within Daemon's character in House of the Dragon. Yeah, that's
yeah.
And I think he's also wearing the same outfit that he does when he's on Caraxes, and it's storming, so it matches. But still, I think it would be just so much more interesting if, let's say, he takes the castle easily. They surrender, everything's fine. He goes to bed that night, and we get a dream sequence, and we think, oh well, what's going on there? He already took the castle, and then it picks up with him panicking, going around, roaming around the castle, and having all these voiceovers by Rhaenyra, Viserys, possibly. You could do so much interesting stuff, and a character like Daemon could just benefit from that.
Yeah, especially because season 1 put so much work into establishing he put no faith in prophecies and all that kind of magic.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And
And I
I mean,
wonder
he
if
is someone
maybe-
who is particularly I don't know. Yeah, he literally said dreams didn't make us kings.
Dragons
He
did.
doesn't. Dragons. Yeah, he doesn't care about dreams and prophecy and all that. So that could be really cool.
So
And,
challenging him with dreams, and him not
Yeah.
really, him tossing it by the side. Yeah, this was just a nightmare.
Yeah, and Alys
would
is
be
going to be the
perfect.
person who's going to be challenging him, right? Because we know from that audition tape that she's on his heel. She is the person who's so that could be really, really cool.
Plus she's talking about no one sleeping well inside the castle walls of Harrenhal. So that's a thing that's there. Just have to wait and see how far it goes.
Yeah, because it'd be great to see, over the course of the season, if Harrenhal is a character and all this stuff's happening to him. Damon's attitude towards it to change, because at the beginning he might really love it, because the ultimate monument to Valyrian power since it was destroyed by dragons. He'd be like, oh, this is incredible. And then he grows to fear and hate it as all these visions invade his mind and the curse sort of affects him in a way.
Oh, I'd love that so much. Much. It would be just good for the soul after waiting for so much to happen on Game of Thrones in terms of magic. And I watched it when it was airing since season 3, and then in season 4 we actually got a few glimpses of what could potentially go on with Bran down the line. There was a lot of focus on his dreams and visions, and then it just fucking stopped, and it was just a essentially a plot device. He was just used to reveal Sansa and the whole Sansa and Littlefinger stuff, and in the end he was king. And we don't really have to go into detail about that, but it would just be phenomenal being in A Song of Ice and Fire fan and having a story that feels like A Song of Ice and Fire.
Ryan Condal is a huge A Feast for Crows fan, and if there's any book that has this sort of atmosphere, it's A Feast for Crows.
Definitely.